Welcome to the Chirosation. This is episode 2, and in this episode I have a conversation with Dr. James Nock about the ups and downs of early practice. I loved having this conversation. James is an amazing person who has a unique insight into chiropractic and is a natural-born teacher. During this conversation, James shares his experiences in early practice and the lessons he is still learning. Thank you so much for all the support I've received so far, and a big shout out to Bea for her amazing message. That means a lot. And without further ado, please enjoy episode 2, Deer in the Headlights, starting as an associate. Welcome to the Chirosation, and this is where the conversation starts. And we are live. Welcome, Dr. Nock, to the Chirosation.
Thank you very much.
Awesome to have you here. This is episode 2, where we're going to be talking about what it's like to be an associate. And James has also had an awesome experience being a locum for Dr. Susan Caruso, so hopefully he'll share a little bit about that. So James, graduated recently. Let's hear a little bit about yourself. What got you into chiropractic in the first place?
Well, it was kind of a chance meeting, and my favourite quote is, "You never know how far-reaching something you do say or think today could affect the lives of millions tomorrow."
Good old BJ, right?
Yeah, good old BJ Palmer. And so, essentially, when I was at high school, I had an unfortunate back injury, and I was a fast bowler, and it's kind of mishandled fell through the cracks, so to speak, with the treatment that I received, and nothing seemed to help, and I was in quite a bit of pain and numbness and tingling and all the good stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I ended up quitting cricket, and then a few years down the track I was about 22ish and just coming home from work and having numbness and tingling and feeling like crap basically. And and then one day I was just walking through a shopping mall, bumped into a chiropractic screening.
Who was it?
Ash Pritchard's practice.
Really?
Yeah. So Diane Sherwin was the young chiropractor at that stage. I think she'd only been out for maybe a year, so
wow.
It was pretty cool. And I still got the original pamphlet she gave me, and I don't know, man, something she said just hit me like a lightning bolt, and within 2 days I quit my job and sort of signed up. And
So when was this?
that was, I had pretty poor timing though, because I did it halfway through the year, so I did 6 months and then had 6 months off, and then joined up with the people that I ended up graduating with. So that
was that AUT?
Yeah, that was at AUT. So yeah, I don't know.
Hey man, it's not poor timing. You got to be in my class, man.
Yeah, that's true. No, it worked out well though, and I think it happened when it happened, and to me, I think I'm the perfect age, because I would have been too immature for sure when I was a bit younger. So yeah,
Definitely. Well, in first year you were a bit of a
less unit.
Hey, you matured up.
Yeah.
Now you got doctor in front of your name, you're very serious all the time,
I
right?
don't think so.
Yeah,
Maybe so nice.
That's awesome. So graduated into last year, started practice beginning of this year at
Base Chiropractic in Maringi Bay. Yeah.
Nice. How did you organise that?
That was again kind of a chance meeting. I was at the Lyceum last year, so 2015, and I was basically going to head overseas, and I thought I'll try out the speed dating kind of interview process that they had at Lyceum, and I knew Johnny Wade. I worked with him a little bit when I was a student, and just got chatting to them. They were pretty keen on me, so came out and checked it out, and it's a really nice facility here, right next to the beach as well. I came in the summer, so that kind of lured me in, and
nice.
I really like the area, so I kind of just stuck. And
have you lived on the North Shore before?
No, I haven't actually. I've been out by college in Mount Wellington and Daddy Pamua for about 5 years.
So never really been in the community before, and coming into an associate position that you've never done before. Yep. What was that like to start off? So when was your first day?
First day, I'm just looking at my wall, I think 26th of January. That's when I got my chiropractic board license.
Nice. And you started straight in?
Straight in.
Nice and fresh. Did you wear your white shirt?
No, I think I burnt that off. No, first day, I had my trusty high-low, a desk, and a table, and that's it really. And
Nice.
my first patient was actually referred in by James Mackay, who's
Really?
also in our class, and
Nice.
yeah, it was pretty neat. Nervous as hell,
Hell yeah.
and
But you had a new patient on the first day.
yeah,
That is awesome. I did not
lucky.
have that. I sat there for like 10 hours going, oh my god, I suck. I
yeah.
can have patients, what do I do?
You start thinking what colours you can paint the walls and
Yeah.
all sorts of stuff. So
Yeah. Nice.
but
Good. So how was that first patient? Referral in? It's always good.
yeah, good,
Nice.
great,
Felt comfortable?
good change. Yeah,
Doing the same
I'm
things?
probably more comfortable than I was, but
Probably.
no, once
So-
you get into it, it's the same old stuff. Yeah.
Nice. And then how was it different, say, doing obviously the new patient project or process at college, and then you graduate, now you're a qualified chiropractor. How does your new patient change? Did you keep a lot of it the same, or do they have a set new patient process here?
They have their own process, which understandably is a bit more trimmed down or streamlined than the college process that we went through. But yeah, I still have Dr. B's voice in the back of my head every time I see a patient.
Me too.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kept me honest, I guess. And yeah, I've kind of got my own process. I mean, as you get more experience, you kind of know what tests to do and vice versa. So, I mean, and that's one thing I would recommend. I was terrible as an intern with processes. I was always I was probably one of the slowest interns that they ever had. I think I was doing unsupervised 30-minute visits kind of thing, and not really a lot changed when I got here. So a big part of me shaking it up once I got out was just to nail my processes. This is what I'm going to do, this is why I want to do it, and just kind of having I forget what they call, like a flow diagram kind of thing.
That's cool.
So yeah,
to dive into that a little bit more, because I'm really curious
Yeah.
what that is. How was that different from when you started compared to now, which is 8 months later, right?
yeah,
Is the process
completely
different?
different.
And give details as well. It's interesting.
Okay.
So what is it like?
So when I first started off, you kind of go through every test, and well, at least I did, like full neuros, everything. And I'm not saying that you should sacrifice your test. Like that is, your new patient is probably is the most important test. It's where you establish a baseline, figure out where that person's actually sitting on that health spectrum. And so I think originally I was probably just doing stuff. I wasn't perhaps as conscious about why I was doing something or what I was looking for. Kind of like you do as a student when you're doing something to pass. You're not necessarily, I mean, it's different when you're an intern, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess actually just sitting down and being like, okay, this is what the paperwork says. These are a few extra tests that I like to do personally for each thing. And just
So
kind of
what
voicing
tests
it
do
out.
you do on paper?
On paperwork, it's pretty much your orthos, your range of motion.
Which are?
Orthos are, off the top of my head, maximal cervical compression, foraminal compression.
Yeah.
Jackson's your slump test. Just trying to remember off the top of my head. Yeah, and then we got the SLR, well leg raise, camps, standing camps. Like,
So
pretty much
it's
the
your
basics
primary
there.
biomechanical
Yeah,
test, right? Is there actual structural weakness to these joints?
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
basically what you're looking for?
Yeah.
And do you feel like you do them with a different intensity than you did at college?
Yeah.
By intensity, I mean a different purpose. Do you actually do them now to try and challenge a person's joint to see if it's
Yeah.
structurally sound?
I'm a lot less gentle than I was. I'm
Yeah,
probably one
me
of the
too.
most gentle, like, adjusters. I don't say that as a good thing. Like, sometimes it's too gentle, and actually,
It's so
You know?
funny. That's the feedback I've been getting as well.
Yeah.
You're way too gentle. You're way too soft. I'm like, I'm not soft. I'm adjusting really hard.
my fingers are like
Yeah.
shaking. And it's just like, yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, I think, once you get more experience, I mean, honestly, you really learn how to actually test it and take it to the max. And like I said, I mean, as a student, I wasn't very good at all with process. I mean, I knew what I was doing, but
Sure.
I didn't have a this, then this, then this. So it's kind of this, and then I'd have to think and then do something. And
Why do you think you were bad with process? Because I wouldn't say you're a bad at process kind of guy.
I don't know. I really don't know.
Do you feel like it because you were kind of doing the tests because you had to do the tests rather than for a purpose?
I don't know, I never really thought about it. I don't know, I just struggled. I'm one of these people that I go all in with something if I learn it, and I think for college it's just, there's so many things to learn that I don't want to say didn't interest me, but you know, I was so deep into like learning more about Gonstead and cervical chair and mastering everything with that I kind of didn't focus as much on orthos, and then you know, you've got assignments on top of that and exams and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know really, I think it's just...
So for you it was more, not, because you said before it's a process thing for you, but I never would have picked that for you. So it sounds like it more what you're describing is you had an interest in these particular fields, the Gonstead, becoming an expert at this technique and getting really deep into that kind of information. So it wasn't that the processes weren't there, you just weren't as interested.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, that's me in a nutshell, I guess. I mean, like... when
like, oh, shiny, I want that.
Oh, shiny, oh, piece of candy.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, when I came fresh out of high school, I kind of did the uni thing, because that's what everyone did. And I did software engineering, because that's what my family does, is like all computer and technological stuff. And yeah, it's kind of funny, I would get 100% in pretty much everything to do with programming, but database things just failed and didn't enjoy it and didn't put time into it. So like I say, I'm 0 to 100 basically. It's interesting and I'll go all in or yeah. So I don't know, maybe it's...
But it's life, man. I'm so like that. It's like, yeah, you'll suffer through and do the stuff that you don't want to do, and you know, you'll pass, right?
Yeah.
You definitely get past, but path, passed it. I didn't excel because I wasn't super interested.
Oh my God.
But I definitely remembered it, which was on page 67A, bottom right corner, because that was the test, right?
I can't even remember pathology because it's just like selective amnesia from stress.
Actually, it's so long ago. Brain can't handle.
Oh,
that's funny. So jump me back to processes, because obviously you're really good at them. So ortho tests, you do obviously do some neurological tests as well.
Yeah.
What kind of testing do you do?
With neurological tests, I'm usually looking at... For me, I'm about function, so I do a lot of tests related to upper cervical, so your H tests. I test balance quite a lot, pre and post adjustment depending on what the patient has, but I've always been quite particular about upper cervical and cranial nerve testing and that kind of thing. And then just basically muscle testing, and if they report numbness or tingling, I'll go through and challenge the common sites where there could be, direct pressure on a nerve in the elbow or whatever, and dermatome. So I mean, it's pretty standard stuff, really.
Nice. So it's effectively the college stuff, just refined right down into this is the most important stuff that I have to clear in a patient, see what's going on. Because for me, I definitely use orthopedic as like a kind of testing or storytelling for the person. So you're coming in with neck stuff. See how when I press on your neck really hard, it hurts.
Yeah.
And usually you walk around and it doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
That's because there's a weakness there.
I use Nervoscope for that because I Nervoscope and gown every patient. So
Gontron.
Yeah, Gontron. So I basically, patients. It's quite funny how often you'll have a Nervoscope break, and then you just put a line there, and they'll be like, oh, that's exactly where I've got,
cool,
a bit of restriction or whatever, and it might not be something they've told you about before, and you're like, oh, okay, and then you just sort of move on and you press on it. Oh, it's tender, surprise.
Yeah.
If you've got two people in the room as well, I sometimes show them the Nervoscope and like see how there's a break here and just explain it to them. And
those are the best of the best. I love it if I've got two people in the room.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, hey, look how short this leg is, and they go, oh, yeah, it is, and then adjust them. Look how it's balanced out. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Can't crank.
It's funny actually, because when I first started, and I was kind of a little bit anxious about the whole sort of thing, and when people would come in and watch, you'd get a little bit extra
freak out.
And I'd just go through my normal exam, which at the time was pretty much the same as what we had at college, so laying down, do sacral restriction, all that kind of stuff. And you don't really think about it, but when they see sacral restriction been really bad, and then you adjust someone and it's normal. I mean, it's kind of fascinating, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of every
Well,
day
for us, we're
us.
so used to it. We've been doing this for the last 5 years. That's completely normal.
Yeah.
We come to expect those kind of changes. Where for a fresh person coming in.
Yeah. So I mean, that's I mean, most students are probably aware, but yeah, just highlight these changes because they are pretty incredible for some people. You know, like some of the changes that you see in here, even in the short time we've been out, are just mind blowing to some people. And yeah, it's pretty cool.
So when you first started, so obviously met them at Lyceum last year.
Yep.
At Bays, and then started 26th of Jan,
Yeah.
beginning of this year, fresh faced, ready to go. What was your biggest fear then compared to now?
Well, it's actually kind of a funny one, and it's something that kind of just hit me out of college. I used to get pretty anxious, man, like seriously anxious when I'd miss adjustments, and I know how ridiculous that is because we're all gonna miss adjustments. You can't, do the Gonstead lightning bolt adjustment every time. But for some
I would
reason-
love to read Clarence's notes and see how many times he didn't get an adjustment on the first time.
What are you talking about, man?
That doesn't happen.
Yeah. No, that.
I'm willing to bet some pretty serious
Yeah.
money. I'm sure it happened.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I don't know. I don't even know where it came from really. It's because it's not a.
I felt exactly the same then.
Yeah.
Every time I was doing an adjustment, get like sweaty palms, worried like, oh my god,
Oh,
I hope this works.
Please, just make a noise or something. Which is like,
It's terrible,
stupid,
right?
eh? And I don't know where it came from. And then I mean, honestly, it wasn't until I did the locum with Susan and just reading her notes and seeing, that she'll have question marks next to certain adjustments, or she'd leave notes saying, hard to adjust or whatever. And just going through that process of, and that's the cool thing about Gonstead is it's kind of repeatable through practitioners and that to some degree. But, I was able to kind of follow her lead in a sense and just be like, oh, whatever, I missed it, I'm going to try it on something else, try it on something else, try it on something else. And the people that, for example, if someone comes in and you feel like you haven't made the correction that you wanted to, just tell them you need more time. And I mean, like, that's something I didn't realise, or I was perhaps too scared to kind of come up with straight away. So, yeah.
Like how many times in the last week then? So because I definitely had the same thing. The biggest thing for me when I first started was adjusting skills. It was all adjusting skills. Oh my god, I suck at adjusting. I still can't adjust very well. I'm missing stuff half the time. Shit, I hate it. Why am I not good enough? And then this massive pressure on myself to try and get better and better and better. So you practice, and you don't really seem to be making any results. And then you don't have enough new patients coming through the door, so you freak out about that as well. And you're like, oh, I suck at life, I just can't do it.
Yeah.
So, in the last week, how many adjustments did you not clear on the first try?
Like quite a few, maybe almost 10, maybe.
Nice. I honestly can't remember. I'm pretty sure if I look back on it, because I will adjust multiple segments on a patient at a time. So I on average, I'll do probably 3 adjustments, like something thoracic, something lumbar-pelvic, and something cervical.
Yep.
Is usually what I do with most of my patients. 90% of the time. There's a few that I will like just do a toggle, or there's I see a couple of kids at the moment where I'll just do a C1 adjustment or just do a pelvis or something.
Gotcha.
And yeah, I'm pretty sure on every single patient I missed something. like thoracic, damn it, missed it, and I adjust it again. Oh yeah, there we go. Or pelvis, damn it, missed it, and then just more effort on the next one. Or like, definitely my weakness is adjusting like lower cervical.
Yeah.
And I've been getting better, and I've been trying and doing different things, and I've actually been trying to do spinous pressures, supine, and that's been working really, really well for me because I've started using X-rays a lot more and listing and adjusting through my X-ray listings. Not necessarily through the listing, but looking at the structure and going, right, that's my line of drive, and that's what I need to adjust down. So I've been getting a lot of like PRSs or PLSs, T1s or C7s or whatever.
Nice.
And so I've been going, right, well, I can't adjust in the chair very well, but I can do supine okay. Let me take the same stuff and do a kind of diversified supine adjustment. Yeah. And it's been working so much better.
Oh yeah.
But then half the time it's like, nah, shit.
I know, I became like a messiah of high-low when I worked at
drop table.
I was just
Drop
like,
table.
cervical chair is just an enigma. I'm pretty lousy at side posture on a good day because I don't know. It's just I've been working constantly. It haunts me so much that I just went and bought all new tables, as I was saying before. So just to get the right height and the right rubber feel on the table, just.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, like anything, it's a process, and I think you kind of come out of college on this huge high. And I mean, to be honest, I was probably a better adjuster in college because you're around 100 chiropractors.
Really?
I don't know, but probably not. Maybe in some.
No way! No way! You're a way better adjuster now.
I don't know. I don't know. I used to just be pretty gung ho, I guess, when I was an intern. But yeah, I don't know. Definitely a completely different style to what I used to be. I mean, I used to be complete diversified and toggle, and I haven't toggled.
I used to be
maybe
very
6 months.
textbook.
Yeah.
I was super textbook in the way that I adjusted. And now my style's, it's been meified. And I'll just,
Well,
I make it fit me, and it's completely different to what I was doing before.
Well, that's the thing. The only person who did Gonstead was Gonstead. So I mean, you can learn all the textbook you want and then apply it to your body. I mean, I'm pretty much the complete opposite build to him, so that's why I think I struggle with
teeny tiny hands.
And when people go up the table, it's just like my knees in their face.
Yeah, it's true.
It's cool though. I mean, I really enjoy working with the students as well. Like I was back there last week, just doing a new patient, and it's just really cool just catching up with them. And I mean, honestly, I think I worked mostly with the current third years, and I think they're going to be such a good year. I work pretty closely with them anyway, just through Up Cervical Club and that.
Cool.
But yeah, it's really cool to get some.
Well, I honestly think that every year of graduates that come through are better trained, more prepared.
Yep.
They've got more information. They're coming through. It's honestly wonderful to see.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that this will help in terms of confidence, because that was the hard thing for me graduating. Is I just didn't know. I didn't know what to expect as an associate starting out practice. This was different. I didn't walk into a practice that had a patient base. I had no marketing plan. So I'm hoping that you can kind of share your experiences in that as well. So obviously the biggest fear at the beginning was adjusting, which was exactly the same as me. Is that different now or still the same?
I'd say it's still there, but I mean, I know how to control it now. I mean, there's still adjustments that I'll shy away from, but then at the end of the day, you've just got to do it. I mean, you kind of think that you miss an adjustment and the person's going to turn around and be like, oh, you didn't have the right line of drive on that. They don't know what you're doing.
Going to do that.
And that gives you
who's a patient that you've had that's come in who you've been adjusting them, you think that you're a shit chiropractor, you're like, how is this guy coming in and paying me money? And then a couple of weeks later, he comes in or she comes in and is like, oh my god, I feel completely different.
Actually, there was one. It was an emergency call out in the weekend, and it was one of Alan Wade's patients, and I think it might have been Jeff's patient. Anyway, they're both really good adjusters, and they've been in the game for a long time. So I was a little bit anxious, kind of newish and all that. And this guy comes in, and he had acute low back pain kind of thing, and did my analysis, and I'm just like, all right, time to perform. Put him on the
Sweaty
table.
palms and everything.
Yeah, put him on the table. Try twice side posture. Nothing. Not even remotely close. So I'm just like, body temperature goes up. Fight or flight, wanting to fly more than anything. And I chuck him on the high low. I'm like, screw it. I'm just gonna do drop table. That was kind of my go-to at the time.
It's the backup, man. And I love the drops.
I just put him there, set it as hard as I could. And did my Nock stead, just sustained toggle as hard as I could. If I had long hair, it would have whiplashed around like BJ Palmer.
Hell yeah.
But basically I just smashed it, and he brought him back up. And as I was bringing him back up, he's like, oh, I don't think you did anything. And I'm just like, oh. And as soon as the weight goes on his feet, he just has a shocked face, and he looks at me, and he goes, oh, it doesn't hurt. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, go for a walk. And he's walking up and down. And this guy had full antalgic lean, everything. And he just starts walking more upright. And he goes, oh man, I came in walking like a chicken, and now I'm walking fine. And he was stoked, and I was just like, oh, chiropractic.
Pooyah. It's good. It's a success story.
So I mean, like,
Awesome.
it's little things like that,
But that was surprising, right?
Yeah.
Well, I have a very similar story. One of my patients came in, older guy, took x-rays of the full spine because that's what we did with him because it was necessary. Looking at his lower back, it's gnarly and messed up and not happy. So getting there and adjusting anything. By the way, I should probably tell he's coming in with like severe sciatica as well. So he can't hardly work and walk either. And so it's really affecting his lifestyle. I'm like, okay, great. So this is going to be really difficult. So checking him, adjusting him. I'm adjusting him. I'm kind of using drop tape a little bit, but I do like a side posture adjustment. Give it a couple of goes, and if I don't feel like it's clearing out the subluxation findings effectively, I'll pop up the drop table and adjust it with in side posture with the drop, and basically just go brute force, or bang. And after 2 weeks, he was like, dude, it's like I don't have sciatica anymore. That's amazing. And he's in for corrective care, so he's still seeing me. It's 4 months later. He's down to once a week visits now, which is wonderful. And he's like, yeah, now, I've got a new lease on life, I've got a 5-year-old son, and I want to keep up with him and keep playing, and I'm finding that chiropractic's really helping me with my energy levels, and I'm sleeping better, and work's easier, and things are changing, and I'm like, that's right, that's awesome, that's why you're coming in.
you never know.
Exactly. But when I started working with him, I thought I sucked. I'm like, here's this guy who's like looking at me, he's paying me money, technically he's paying business money, but it feels like he's paying me for this, and I feel like I'm offering him a subpar service. But I wasn't at all. 2 weeks later, he's like, dude, this is amazing.
And that's solid advice for people starting their internship as well. I mean, like...
Just back yourself.
Yeah.
Just back yourself.
Yeah, I mean, in college you've got a safety net as well. So, and honestly, I've heard this before from various things I've listened to, but the masters are all at college. Seriously, all those people that we learn from are absolute masters in their own way, and they've all got something to say, whether you take it on or don't agree with it or whatever. It's just free information. Well, not free. It's quite expensive.
Yes,
but you know what I mean. And,
but it's worth it.
Yeah, and so once
which is actually a fun concept. If I can jump in there, because the other thing that I think a lot of people have issues with when they're starting out, or at least it was for me. Would you agree the money thing, like asking people to like potentially pay for a care plan, or did you find that difficult at the beginning? Yeah, I mean we don't have a care plan system here, but with our initial costs, I mean it was an issue for me to say that to some people. But once you get a little bit of experience, and I mean like I was saying to you earlier before the mic was on. I know someone that saw a podiatrist for a huge sum, about the same as our new patient. I shouldn't say huge sum, but considering what was offered, I think there's so much value in what we do, and actually one story, if I can just jump into that, is hopefully we all know Dr. Ian Rossborough from Chiro Excellence, one of my absolute idols. He if you've seen the YouTube video of the guy who was completely hunched over, the young guy, so if people haven't seen it, basically he's pulling a tree root out of the ground in America, hurt his back and was basically stuck, pretty much folded in half and in severe pain to the point where he wanted to kill himself, like it's just ruined his life. And if you see the videos, you understand, how bad it actually was. And basically, long story short, flies over from America to Australia after seeing the Chiro Excellence videos. I think 2, maybe 3 weeks of chiropractic care, and he's standing upright. His life's changed, power's turned on. He wants to be a chiropractor now, which is a phenomenal result. And I heard Dr. Ian talk about this, and it was going to cost, my figures might be slightly off, but it's going to be about $130,000 US for exploratory surgery, just to see what was going on. They didn't even know what was wrong. Mm-hmm. Flights, accommodation, everything to Australia, all the costs that were in Australia were $18,000, so it's instantly a lot cheaper. Guess how much chiropractic care costs? About $750 Australian. So when you look at it that way, we give so much value for what we do, and 100%.
If you can just kind of understand that, and you're not going to have these miracle changes in every single patient, but you're going to have changes.
I guess worth jumping in as well. I just want to finish and add an
Yeah.
anecdote to the money thing as well. I heard another chiropractor say this. I wish I could remember what it was. I think it might be the chiropractic philanthropist. I'm pretty sure it was one of their episodes. Anyway, basically what he said is, look, we paid $20,000 a year for chiropractic care. It's worth a lot to us. And as early graduates, it's hard because, you know, you've been living on a student budget and you're talking to these people and it's, you know, potentially thousands of dollars a year for regular chiropractic care, or at least at the beginning, a few $100s for relief care of some sort.
Yeah.
And that's difficult for us to talk about or ask for at the beginning because financially we would find that difficult. But then you have to remember you and me and all students, $20,000 a year for chiropractic care. And we thought it was worth it.
Yeah.
And it is worth it.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, when I think about it, going back to my story, I mean, someone told me an idea and I committed to that, so...
Dude, I didn't even know what chiropractic was. I was like, this sounds good, let's give it a go.
I had no idea, and then Bruce Lipton dropped a nuke on my head.
Hell yeah, what I meant. Did you hear his recent interview on the Bulletproof Radio?
No.
With Dave Asprey? Dude, give it a listen. Fantastic. Ben, put this in the show notes. Really good episode. Yeah, fantastic. I just finished the episode on the drive over here. Actually, really good. I mean, awesome. Bruce Lipton, he's just the man.
He's just a boss.
And yeah, he's talking about concepts that we've heard of before, but
actually, it might have been on the Chiropractic Philanthropist as well, which is a great podcast if anyone is wondering.
Someone hitting him.
Yeah. When I was in Melbourne recently for the Gonsid seminars, I was taking a long walk back home. I think it was about an hour and a half or something, just to take in what Melbourne is, and walking through this massive park, and it was, nice and cold and wintry, and just listening to Bruce Lipton talking about spontaneous evolution and stuff. Yeah. It's just like, this is cool.
Oh my God, consciousness is the next evolution.
I know, and I've heard it so many times, but man, it just, you always pick up something new from that stuff, and it absolutely blows my mind.
But that's the wonderful thing, is you hang out on the shoulders of giants, and you grow and you become better, and you just try. And I think that's a massive part of this initial journey post-graduation. Yeah. It's just figuring things out and realising that it's scary and hard and you're going to fail. Let's talk about a failure. So for me, oh God, where do I start? But yeah, okay. So before we talked about a patient where we had success where we didn't think we'd get it, patient that failed. What sucked? What sucked?
Oh God, there's been a couple. I hate to say it, but I had a really acute patient come in. I think it was the first proper acute patient I've seen. By the way, you're incredibly sheltered at college. There's acute at college with, I've got 2 out of 10 neck pain that hurt because I slept funny, and then there's just my disc shot out of my back and bounced around the wall.
Have you had a yellow yet?
A yellow,
I have a yellow at the moment. He's terrible disc pain every time I adjust his L5. He's like, ah!
I feel so horrible. It's heartbreaking, I guess. But anyway, this guy. So I went through my whole process. He had just complete numbness in his foot. Basically, was carrying something and bam, like that. And he's an older guy, and just tried side posture, nothing happened. Mm-hmm. And put him onto the drop table, and I did a drop adjustment, and he was in so much pain. And then I used an activator as well. So this is before I sort of 100%. This is early days, so I was kind of using all my tools in my toolbox. Yeah. And I changed a few things that I could see and test that, but obviously when someone's in that much pain, they don't really care. It's get them out of pain. Mm-hmm. And basically the guy didn't really notice much. He didn't speak English, so it was kind of hard for me to actually get much information. I was kind of translating, so that was quite hard as well. And basically, he just was pretty annoyed that I didn't cure his back pain instantly. Mm-hmm. So, there's going to be people like that. You just have to do your best and just say, like, just tell them the truth. It's going to take time. Like, seriously, you have to. That's probably one of the biggest things as well. Like, you adjust someone and you want so badly for them to just have this miracle change or get 130,000,000% better. You want that, and it's good to want that, but sometimes, all the time, it takes time. Essentially,
my experience has absolutely been it too.
Yeah,
which is something I definitely want to talk about as well, because I think that's part of marketing and making yourself a point of difference, which I think is really important when you're starting out as part of building your confidence. But we all want that miracle adjustment, because I think we're buying into a very silly paradigm, which is almost the like prescription pharmaceutical paradigm of magic pill.
Yep.
And you're just substituting
one
magic pill
one adjustment
for one amazing toggle or one amazing L5 adjustment or that perfect
Oh, you've got
adjustment.
high blood pressure, or we'll just smash it
We'll
out.
adjust it, done, and you're fixed in one adjustment, which is bullshit. It doesn't happen. And yes, there are chiropractors out there looking for that. Yes, I wanted that in early practice, more as part of my internship, and I think I kind of grew out of that, having dealt with patients and realising that's just not how it works at all. And my failure story is very similar to that. Older gentleman, low back pain, stiffness, works all the time, wanted to come in and have one adjustment and have it fixed. Man, I'm inexperienced as it is. The chances of me doing that one adjustment that's going to fix it is just so low. And I mean, even then, even if we went to see Kent or Wade or whoever who's been in practice for forever, the possibility of them doing that one magic adjustment is so low.
But the possibility of them getting them better is probably high, because they've had people like that and developed the skills to communicate why they need to come in for a couple of visits or why it takes time.
That's exactly the difference.
Yeah.
The difference is your ability to communicate the importance of getting checked regularly.
Yeah.
And as soon as I started being able to talk about that easier, which didn't happen until like 2 months ago, like now my practice is filled with cool people who are wanting to come in and get checked regularly, who are actually invested in their health, and they're getting way better results than the people who I was attracting before, which is kind of all relief people with pain and aches and whatever, and I'm not having great success.
Do my neck here, fix me.
Exactly. And it was just awful, and it just beat me up, and it sucked, and I wasn't having a good time in practice because I was constantly failing, because I was stuck in a place of my adjusting is shit, so I can't do very good, and then now the patients that I'm attracting are wanting me to fix them in one visit, and I can't do that.
It really makes going to work not very fun. And it makes it going to work, really. I mean,
you don't feel fulfilled.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've had a really good week this week actually, which is great because I've been putting a lot of time.
Isn't it so good to have a good week?
And I'm just like, I've still got a day tomorrow, which I'm so stoked about, because I've got quite a few sort of long-term patients coming in tomorrow morning. So
nice, man.
But yeah, I mean, as you say, like if you attract the wrong people, not necessarily the wrong people, but just people that you don't necessarily gel with, or you trip over your words and you don't explain things properly, or you kind of don't meet their expectations in a way, then it makes it going to work instead of going to help people and change their lives.
Absolutely. Which is why you got into this in the first place, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Because I got into this because I get to choose the people that I hang out with. How cool is that? And then for the last 6 months, I completely forgot it. And was like, no, I'm desperate for new patients. I just want to get my numbers up and focus on that and trying to drive it. And it was such a trap. And if you can avoid it, man, you can just miss out on so much heartache and because your adjusting improves. It will naturally improve because you get busier. You see people longer. You've been doing adjustments for a longer period of time. Of course it's going to get better. That's why it's practice. Yeah,
absolutely. And there's something actually that I've heard time and time again, and like when you're a student, you're like, oh, I'd never do that, or whatever. That's common sense kind of thing. It's just you get out what you put in, and you hear about these chiropractors who said that when they got into practice, they put their sign up and then waited there for people because that's what they expected. I essentially did that in someone else's practice. So I mean, I saw some warning signs a couple of months ago, and I was like, this is taking a bit of a nosedive in terms of my happiness. And I was just like, something needs to change here. And basically, I was actually quite honoured to be given the locum with Susan Croso. She's one of my favourite chiropractors of all
let's
time.
talk about that, because I think, I mean, I spoke to you briefly about it before you went down. What was because I think for you it actually came at a really cool point. Because what was the difference? Like, what was your mindset before the opportunity came up compared to during? And then please talk about some details of doing it as much as you can share. Please chat about it, and compared to afterwards.
So before, I was pretty down in the dumps, man. To be honest, I was missing way more adjustments than I was making.
Did your practice get quieter as well?
Yep, completely died off. I mean, I got up my numbers reasonably well with the help of the practice and stuff, just to get me started. And then, I don't know, just somewhere, I think part of that was I really wanted to do Gonseed technique, but I just wasn't doing it.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't holding myself accountable to fail in that technique enough to actually get good at it.
Yeah.
So I started doing falling back on activator and drop table, which are great techniques, they work, but it's just not what I wanted to do, or like, I mean, you know how obsessive I get with technique. Like, there's a certain way that, an idea that I want to follow upon and develop, and so I wasn't doing that, and it just, you know, I wasn't congruent with myself, essentially. And it reflected in my practice, it reflected in my results. I just wasn't getting any new patients coming in, but I also wasn't really doing the work. I kind of was busy with quote marks, but, you know, I wasn't doing stuff regularly, and
I want to talk about that as well, because I definitely got into that trap as well. I got busy being busy. Doing paperwork, filing things, doing stuff around low priority shit, checking emails, doing stuff that's
don't buy a laminator.
yeah, like actually.
You'll notice there's so many laminated things in this room. I love that thing.
Yeah, but you can get stuck in that trap so easy. And unless, like you said, unless you're keeping honest with yourself and keeping high integrity to be like, no, these are the things that I want, and I'm going to work towards that, you just get distracted with stuff that's not relevant. And I definitely got stuck in that trap for like 2 months.
Yeah, it was a long time. And honestly, man, I even let my health go. I mean, I didn't stop exercising, I wasn't eating very well. I mean, it's just, nothing was in line with what I actually wanted to do or believed, you know. And so that's kind of where I was before. And then I got the call from Susan, and I just said yes before I could say no. Because
how good did that feel?
Oh, it was awesome. I was pretty anxious about it, because, you know, I hold her in such high regard, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm going to be going in there and checking her patients. So the Gonseed book came out, and, you know, it sort of inspired me to jump back into my study, and I've basically just been studying a lot since that moment. But yeah, once I got there, I mean, have you been to a practice at all?
No, I've just seen photos.
It's such a beautiful place in Kerry. Big lifestyle block kind of thing. She's got free range chickens there, which are so cool. I love chickens.
That's awesome.
And avocado trees and fruit trees and that. So it's awesome there. And day one opened up, pretty unsure of how things were going to go. I knew my technique wasn't too flash, so I mean, I got there the night before. I didn't get to see her there. I went up a week before and chatted about everything. But so essentially the night before I was there, and I just spent the night getting familiar with all the equipment and all the processes and reading the patient files, just anything I could do to prepare myself, and then went there in the morning and just did what she basically asked me to do, and it just worked so well. Like, her systems were so good. Patients were, I still need to ask her about this, how she trains her patients, because they're just awesome. They come in, they know exactly what you're going to do, they ask questions about it related to what you're doing. Like, they know stuff. You get them on the pelvic bench, they sit down, they know to lower themselves down instead of just kind of plonking on the side. Like, just little things like that made my job easier. But essentially, once I got the rhythm of things, and just basically practiced how I wanted to and focused and did Gonseed technique, and I was like, I can actually do this technique. I didn't succeed with every single patient. There's a couple where, I was like, look, Susan will be back in a couple of weeks. But, there's a few patients that I did have really, really good experiences with, and you know, that kind of boosted my confidence.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, there's not really much more to say. It was such a good experience, and then coming back here, you know, jumping back into the world that I kind of left, I was like, no, I need to revamp everything. I know, that's what I was saying about the systems, because she had all that kind of laid out, sort of incorporated that into my practice. That's the other thing, like, you're always going to be changing the way that you practice, probably more so in the first year than you ever will. So I mean, month to month, my practice completely changes, but you know, getting all those systems in here, incorporating that, feeling a lot happier in my own space, because it's so important. If you're not comfortable in your own space, like I was saying about the paintings and stuff I've got here. I mean, when I first started, I had a desk, a high-low, and a pelvic bench, and it's just like nothing on the walls, nothing, and it just feels like a prison cell. So you've got to personalize it, make the space that you're going to be spending a lot of time in comfortable, and yeah, and it really reflects in the patients. I kind of went on.
Well, I honestly believe that your space reflects yourself.
Yeah,
it really does. And I mean, sitting in your room now, it feels really comfortable in here.
Oh, so
it's really nice. Yeah, it's got a really nice feel. This is awesome.
I wasn't sure about the deer picture.
Deer in the headlights, is that what you felt like when you started? What is that?
It's actually really funny. Sometimes, like, if you look at people on certain angles, they'll line up with the horns, so they go.
Oh, really? So they got horns coming in here?
Yeah, that's good. But so yeah, and I guess I'd say to people, if you get offered locums, just go do them. It's such a good experience to see a different practice, learn their systems, because I imagine every practice
it's pretty lucky situation, because you walk in and you effectively have no responsibilities. Like, the responsibility is do a damn good job, because these are someone else's patients, and take really good care of them, but you finish in a week or two. You don't necessarily have long-term commitments to these patients. You can just go in there, work your ass off, gain some skills, gain some experience in a practice that is probably a lot different, maybe even better than where you currently are.
Yeah.
In terms of more alignment with yourself or less alignment with yourself, but it's definitely a learning experience, and it's worth it to check it out.
Actually, one massive thing I learned as well is all the patients that had been seeing Susan, they had full analysis package, X-rays with everything, so all the listings are kind of there, and then I'm using the Nervoscope to figure out the level, like you're familiar with Gonstead. And I found that because she's a master and analysed it and identified these areas, adjusting was a breeze, because I knew I was in the right spot, and it gave me that certainty. But then when I did a couple of new patients there, one of them I got, a good result, like I analysed it accurately, and the other one I think I was a little off, and it made all the difference in terms of my adjusting. So that's another thing to understand, is adjusting is the final part. Like, you've got to, everything else has to be there. I mean, you can go and smash someone in the middle of their back, and is that an adjustment? Or are you going to analyse it and make sure in the specific area that creates the best change for that person, or allows mental impulse flow properly?
Yeah.
And it's just
which is a fun. I think that's a fun conversation. Let's delve in there for a second, because otherwise, that's a whole nother episode. Holy moly! But I love it. But that specificity, how essential is that during an adjustment, do you feel?
I kind of have a couple of feelings on this. I think it is extremely important. Extremely, extremely important. In saying that, though, if that sacrifices your efficiency to make a decision, then I think a decision is better than no decision, if you kind of know what I mean. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's kind of the difference of a sniper shooting someone in the heart or shooting someone, like, it's a pretty dark,
use a very appropriate analogy.
It's a pretty dark way to put it, but you know what I mean? Like, it's, I mean, there's times when you can be absolutely certain that you're in the right spot, and this is what I hope to achieve one day, is, and I have periods of going, like, totally zenning in and being at one with the patient, and then just delivering an adjustment that I don't know, there's just something different. I think,
Yeah.
was it...
So when you're hitting that flow, when you hit that flow, you're just completely comfortable,
Yeah.
you're out of that prefrontal kind of fear, flight stuff.
Somebody said, I can't remember who it was, but they said it's the adjustment with the little extra something. It might have been Reggie Gold or something.
I don't know, but whatever.
One
but
of
that
those,
is
yeah.
that thing.
Yeah.
Is that extra 5%, and that makes a massive difference.
Yeah.
I disagree. I don't think specificity matters anywhere near as much as we think it does.
Catch us on episode 3.
That's right. Yeah, after we've beaten each other up. No, but it's. I really don't think specificity matters that much. I think it's more about your particular unique connection with the patient. So I don't want to get to woo-woo or energy level, but when you're talking about a interaction between two people, there is something happening quantum as well as physical. So yes, I'm physically applying an adjustment to your body, but at the same time, I have an intent to heal, to correct these subluxations, to get your body working better, to improve your quality of life. And that intention has a really, really big import. And I think that's a really, really large part of the adjustment. Yeah. And if you're doing adjustments in a state of fear, going, oh God, oh God, oh God, I hope this works, it's a shitty adjustment, even if it cavitates, and even if it moves perfectly and clears up all the findings, it's still a shit adjustment. Yeah. Whereas if you do an adjustment and it doesn't have the same release that you want, it doesn't have the same clearance of subluxation findings that you want, but you did it in a state of, I want to improve this person's quality of life, I want to clear out these subluxations, I want their nerve system to be working at its best, you will have a better quality adjustment.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually started reading this book recently called The Source Field. The first 20 pages just, I couldn't sleep. I was just like, this is profound. Yeah. Even if it's maybe not necessary. I don't know. I don't want to say it's not true. I don't want to be like overly skeptical about, you know what I mean, if you read I can show you the book.
Yeah, I'd love to read it.
But it just got me thinking so much just about that and how your thoughts actually influence your environment around you. I mean, this isn't some weird science thing. Well, it is a weird science thing, but it's not some crazy out there thing anymore. It's something that I think that's a whole new topic. But I think, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's something that we're starting to actually understand a lot more. Absolutely. And honestly, I think that might be why I've had such a good week this week after reading that book. Because it's just, you know, all my focus is like through my hands or through the adjustment. And actually, to cut back to Ian Rossberry again, watch that guy adjust, man. He just gets himself into that mindset and everything. And it was him that actually said, when I was watching him adjust someone once, he said, you know, as soon as his contact's on, he's actually creating that adjustment. And that all his intent's going through his fingers. And I was just like, what a crazy thing to say. You know, we set up and we're worried about tissue pull and then as our body position right, and then we do the adjustments. Like, you're doing the adjustment before that person even walks in the room, essentially.
Yes, yeah. I so agree with that. That you honestly are. Yeah. You really are. It's part of it. But it's, we have been trained in, like before when I was talking about that, the magic adjustment, that's the same thing as the magic pill, that magic fix. Yep. It's completely false. It doesn't exist. It's not actually something tangible or real that we can ever achieve. Because it's just some made up fantasy that for whatever reason we think we might be able to achieve, or we've been sold that belief because that's what our society has tried to create. But when you're looking at the science of it, you go, okay, well, Newtonian physics, this is physical stuff, what I can see, touch, feel, measure, but what you're actually measuring are atoms, right? And what's inside an atom? Quantum stuff, energy fields, which is the same thing. So it's all the same. Yeah. It's just one. So that's why, I mean, because we can start talking about this a little bit as well, so patient communication and how you actually interact with your people, and then hopefully we'll talk about marketing as well. Man, when we get there. But I always combine brain and body. I never separate the two, because they're exactly the same thing. Yeah. There is no difference. The way that you feel, the way that you perceive things, the way that you believe your life is exactly the same thing as your physical experience. And just, I totally agree. And with the specificity thing, it's like, remember doing Blair? I mean, how specific that was. That was
ludicrous. I mean, you've got a page of solid writing in like size 6 font on how to set up for an adjustment with a protractor and like a little pocket protector with like 3 different colored pens and
I love it.
like, you know, like it's ridiculous. Like to me that's ridiculous. But to some people that really appeals, and that's the way that they can channel their art into creating a healing environment. And I say, I see what you mean, and although it's not how I practice, I mean, I respect that because you're still helping to change people's lives, and that's the way that you go about it. I mean,
results speak, man. Results talk.
Specificity.
I think specificity is a confidence thing.
Yeah.
Personally,
yeah.
I think it's if you
whatever
have
you
more justification to say yes, I'm in the right space
yeah.
at the right time because I've done all of these tests to know specifically I'm doing the right thing. It's a confidence thing to say yes, I'm right.
Yeah.
And for me, I definitely use that. Like I'm obviously as specific as I can be.
Yeah.
But I don't think you need to have a protractor. And I don't think you have to have 16 different findings to say that yes, this is the right place to adjust something.
Yeah,
that's taking it to the extreme, which is unnecessary because at the end of the day, it's an adjustment.
Yeah, and like I was saying, you know, like if it jeopardizes your efficiency, I mean, if I'm spending days to analyze someone and do one adjustment, you know, in that time I can be slightly less specific and help more people. And essentially, I mean, for me, when I've got an X-ray dermoscope, my palpation, you know, like all the different findings I look for in palpation, to me that gives me the certainty to create the best adjustment. That's all it is really. And you know, for people it's much.
And speaking of that, how's your palpation changed?
Definitely a lot more accurate. Kind of the same. I mean, I read the adjustments, the subluxation specific, adjustment specific, probably screwed that name up, but by B.J. Palmer, the Green Book.
Yeah.
And just like, the guy was a madman. Like, when you read his section about how to palpate people, it's like you have your elbow at 90 degrees, so you don't, if you change the angle of your elbow, you're changing the mental impulse flow from your brain to your fingertips, and therefore you're changing your ability to palpate. So basically it's about limiting variables in your movement, which kind of makes sense. You know, like if I'm moving my arm, there's proprioceptive input from that, my like mechanoreceptors and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's extra information in my brain that I don't need. I mean, it's nothing. Like I like to think that I can have a conversation and move at the same time. But you know what I mean, like. And so essentially,
I think what that's coming from is when you're beginning, you don't know what you don't know. We didn't know how to palpate people when we started.
Yeah.
But then you train for, you're like, where is this TVP? I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like, no, it's right there.
I know, right? It's so cute helping the first years, and they're just like, oh, here it is. Like,
yeah. But we were in that space too, and it's something that you just get better over time. And yes, I think you're right. At the beginning, you want to clear out as much of the extra stuff as you can, so you can focus right down on what am I actually feeling.
Yeah.
Whereas now, I chat with people. There's other people in the room. There's things going on in the practice. I'm still palpating people.
I do it as well. Like I get kind of quiet when I palpate. I think just because I can't multitask, and basically I just focus. Like I'm terrible at holding a conversation.
I make patients talk. The more I can make patients talk, the happier I am. I'm just trying to like delve in there. What's the right question to ask? And as soon as they're going, I'm like perfect. Palpating, ticking away, doing my thing.
I'm a chatterbox usually, so like honestly, when I'm checking someone, I just want to be like blah blah blah. Blah. But if I do that, I can't concentrate. Yeah, single-celled, non-flagellate.
That was the best. That was the best text. What was that? Single-celled, non-flagellum.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so funny. That was so good. Awesome. So, marketing stuff. So I definitely think the biggest fear I had when I started practice was my adjusting sucks. I'm not going to be able to help people.
Mm-hmm.
And now, retrospectively looking back, the biggest problem was people weren't even coming in my door. How am I going to help anyone?
Yeah.
And then the people who did, I was attracting the wrong people because I was stuck in a fear-based, oh my god, I can't help, so of course it didn't happen. So I think the biggest thing when you're starting out is trying different niches, figuring out what works for you, and looking at the place that you're going to be practicing out of to see what's going to, be the best new patient generation tools that you can use. So what have you learned over being here for 8 months? What's worked,
Yeah.
what hasn't worked? Do you agree that do you think that's a really important thing to
Yeah.
try and get sorted early in practice?
Admittedly, man, I was pretty useless at marketing, in the sense that I was just so carried away with technique and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff that didn't really. I mean, I knew it was important, but that kind of naivety of how important it actually is. I mean, if people don't know you're there, how are they meant to come in? And it's really as simple as that. So, I mean, when I started, I wasn't doing anywhere near as much as I could have been doing.
Mm.
So, yeah, I did the odd screening, had a few people come in, and I'm not that great at screenings either. So, I mean, it's not a very comfortable environment for me to actually do that in. And everyone's different. So, for example, I'm great in conversation. So if I'm at a social gathering, I can just start chatting to people and get them to come in. Like, that's what I'm better at one-on-one. And
How did you figure that out?
I guess just from going to parties at college. Like, honestly, I've ever since I started chiropractic college and I was exposed to people like Bruce Lipton, DeMartini came in.
Mm.
We got Lyceum, with the first Lyceum we had Jamie Richards, Rob Sinnott, Brad Glowacki, like epic speakers. That really just gave me a passion to first of all listening to as many speakers as I can, and I think you're probably the same because we're such podcast nerds.
So true.
So I mean, I crush podcast episodes every day, and so that kind of led me down that path, and then just listening to DeMartini, just such a profound character. He triggered that spark to get out and public speak. If you're familiar with his work, you'll kind of understand if you've heard that story from him. But yeah, so essentially, what I think the direction I'm going now, I'm still in the process of getting there, but it's all set and it's all about to kick off in about a month. So I'm finally going to get out and do my lay lectures.
Nice.
Don't tell the college, but I didn't do any when I was an intern. So
What a badass.
yeah, no. That's the bonus. So that's the thing. Like it's something I always wanted to do. I never went for it. I mean, the best time to start something is now. Don't put it off, I guess. Because I mean, public speaking sucks when you start off. So I went and joined Toastmasters.
It's always going to be bad.
Yeah, it's always.
going to be bad.
But
And you're going to
changes-
get better. You just have to give it a go.
Exactly, and all change is, a little bit painful and that kind of stuff. And
What was the thing you were saying the other day? I can't remember who said it the first, but it's the quote. It's like, you have to have some kind of pressure to create a diamond.
oh yeah, pressure makes diamonds. So I mean, it's true. And it wasn't until I started to feel that pressure in terms of patient numbers and my actual happiness that I was like, something has got to change. So I signed up for Toastmasters, which I highly recommend for all chiropractors, because first of all, it's a group of people that are local. There's clubs everywhere, There's 3 or 4 within 10-minute drive of here. So first of all, you're exposed to a group of people. I literally go there and talk about chiropractic every session, and I get better at speaking. And now they know who I am, and now and then in the break time, that's when I utilize my other strength, which is conversation. So we're having nibbles, and I talk to people there. I'm kind of going off topic a little bit, but essentially
there is no topic, bro. We're just talking.
So yeah, basically just develop my public speaking, and then as soon as I got my first talk there, it's called the icebreaker. So basically they say talk about a familiar topic. Wonder what that could be. So I talked about chiropractic and how I got into chiropractic, and found out that I'm actually pretty good at public speaking, because it's the first time I'd ever prepared. When we did our lay lecture at college, I think I wrote it maybe 3 or 4 days out and never really practiced it, and it was rubbish, and I just wanted to get through it. This time, I still did it 3 or 4 days out, but I practiced it, I listened to it over and over and over and over. I had, anyway, I prepared, presented it, was like, holy crap, I can actually do this. Straight away while it's still on that high, and that's the thing, while you're still feeling a buzz from whatever event that you did or screening or something, go book your next one. While you're in that mindset. So I
Right
made
away, man. As soon as you lose that momentum, it's really, really hard to pick up again.
Absolutely. So I made the marketing plan that's over there, and just I straight away booked 2 at some gyms that are close by that I've been liaising with, and I went door to door as well. That was another thing that was out of my comfort zone, but actually quite easy. Like I said again, got a conversation. So if I can just break the ice and get in it doesn't work for everyone. Sometimes people are, people are just awkward and weird, and I don't get along with them for whatever reason. So
But that's actually fine, because do you really want them in your practice then?
Yeah, exactly. And
you want people in your practice who are cool, that you want to hang out with, who you can actually help.
And there's billions
and that's
of people.
not everyone.
Yeah, there's billions of people in the world. You're not going to get along with everyone. So, and it's not that I don't like them. It's just that sometimes it's a bit awkward, and then it makes you feel awkward, and then you say something dumb, and you're like, oh well, this is who I am. Bye. And then you go to the next person. This is get chatting with them. Oh hey, I'm a local chiropractor. Blah blah blah. End up having a conversation with them in depth, find out more about what they do, and then, if people are curious, they'll bring up something. And
absolutely. And the best thing you can do is proposition yourself as different. What's different about you?
Yeah.
Don't try and say I'm better, or I do this thing, or I'm cheaper, or whatever.
Yeah.
You're not going to be, and you're never going to win that battle. But you can always be different, because there's no one else quite like you.
Absolutely.
And I think if you can really make that integral part of your marketing, you're always going to win.
Yeah, that's a big part of what I'm figuring out over the next few months with a particular course that I've joined up with. So I think there's a lot of stuff that I learned throughout the years of listening to successful people and podcasts, and that you can listen as much as you want, but you have to do something.
You eventually have to action it.
Yeah, you eventually do. And I'm one of these people who have great ideas, and I'll start it and then finish. Like, you should see how many half-read books I've got on my shelf. And that will give me some kind of idea. So, at some point, that pressure builds up, and then you're like, I'm going to have to action this. Probably similar to when you started this podcast. I mean, you've done it pretty quick, to be honest.
No. This has been in process for like a year. Like I have folders and old stuff of just wanting to get this thing done ages ago, but never having the confidence, or thinking that no one will be interested, no one will want to do it. And then I thought, screw it. This is something that I wish that I had access to before graduation. If at least I'm scratching my own itch, because I want to have these conversations, and it's a really good reason to say, hey, I'm doing a podcast, you want to have a chat? Can I record it? Is that okay? Yeah. And then you it means that I get to hang out with you today, and otherwise I wouldn't have. And I mean,
it's the first time you've been here as well,
Yeah, it's the first time that I've been in this practice, which was a great excuse to come out. So whether or not people listen to this episode, I hope you do. I hope you enjoy it.
We have at least one listener, because I'll probably listen.
Yeah, but no, I have one. I have one subscriber right now. It's me. And I love it, because I made the Facebook thing live this morning, and the first person to like it was my mum. Thanks, Mum. And then a few other people did, so thank goodness. But
that's awesome. I was actually thinking, first of all, it's amazing to have people like yourself in the profession that from the very outset, we're still in our first year, that you're willing to do something like this. It's awesome, man. You got such a good setup. You got the little microphone and stuff, and
well, you don't need much. I think you just got to start, and then the biggest
starting's the hardest part.
Starting and having good content, having interesting people that you can talk to, who can provide interesting insight to things that I think are really, really relevant. I did not have this kind of conversation or access to this kind of information when I was going through my internship at college, and now as a graduate and actually working as a chiropractor full time, I wish I had access to this information.
Yeah.
What are other people doing? Because I can learn from it. And like you were saying before, when you're talking about marketing, really at the beginning, you don't know. You don't know the kind of chiropractor that you're going to be. And in fact, I expect and I hope that you will continue to grow as a chiropractor and change over time. I definitely want to do that as well. And that will reflect in your marketing, because your marketing should be, who are you and how are you different?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, hi, my name's Ben. I'm a new chiropractor down in South Auckland, and I'm here to inspire people within the community to look after themselves and their family better. do you want to do that too? And then it's easy, it's yes or no.
Yeah.
And if it's a no, it's fantastic, thank you for your time. If it's a yes, cool. Come, let's have a chat about that and see what I can do.
Yeah, that's it's also, I'm really excited to see where this goes, and I'm sure it's going to grow a lot.
Hopefully. Having cool conversations like this, chatting about things, getting it out there and getting these ideas exposed, I think is really, really important.
Actually, I was thinking as well, I think people, like BJ Palmer would have killed for this technology. And that's the thing,
Imagine.
Wasn't it one of the first radio stations, or the first radio station was the chiropractic one, so...
Yeah.
It's such a powerful tool, and I really enjoy listening to podcasts and learning as much as I can, so yeah.
It's an easy way to
You'll have to
delve into
once this finishes, I'll give you a like.
Yes, an extra one. That's what I was hunting for. Hey, that is awesome. Well, James, thank you so much for being on the Chirosation. I appreciate it. It was an amazing conversation. Thank you for sharing the ups and downs of early practice. If you guys want to get in touch with Dr. James Nock, how do they do it?
Well, you can jump on Facebook. If you search Dr. James Nock, you'll find me pretty easy. Or my personal email address, we can put that in the show notes.
Yeah,
right.
Sure, if you have for me to share, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm always happy to chat to people and give any advice if I can, or receive advice if anyone's got any suggestions for what we've talked about.
We love feedback. Leave your comments.
Yeah.
Please do. And like I just want to add, guys, for a second, just to acknowledge you. What you're doing in the community is outstanding. You are putting so much effort into becoming an amazing chiropractor, and it means so much. And it's really awesome for me to be able to hang out with people like yourself and learn and grow in conversation with you, because you are challenging yourself, which means that I have to challenge myself to be even better. And that is wonderful. So keep up the amazing work. This guy is an awesome teacher, guys. If you want to get involved and learn anything, hit him up. He'll really, really help you. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Again, thank you all so much for the support. For any of the resources mentioned in the episode, please check out the show notes, or you can send me a message and I'll add it to the website. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend and leave a comment on Facebook. Now go out there and start a Chirosation today.